Okay, very interesting topics. I would like to comment on the question about how to improve the connection between research and enterprises with an answer that you're not gonna probably like, because as you said, Colombia and every country has its particularities. In Colombia, the problem is not about connecting research with enterprises. The problem is moving enterprises to a frontier of technology. It is estimated about 80% of the gains in productivity are going to be through just moving to a frontier of the technology, the enterprises. So we're working with the World Bank in a managerial survey about practices in managing. And the results were very, very bad for Colombia. So we have the worst practices in terms of managerial practices in Latin America, well below our level of development. But the most important problem is that people don't tend to know that they are bad at managing their enterprises. So if you don't know that you're bad at something, you're not going to do anything about it. So there's an informational problem that we're trying to tackle, and we're doing some technology service with manufacturing and service medium enterprises and small enterprises to improve on managerial practices that we think currently is the bottleneck for productivity growth in Colombia. So of course we're also working in terms of connecting universities and enterprises, but the focus right now is improving managerial practices. Now I would like to comment on some of the topics that have been raised before. Again, Colombia has some particularities. For example, more than 50% of jobs are informal jobs. You mentioned the problem of informality. But sometimes informality is the market reaction to regulation. And I just want to make one case in point. The minimum wage in Colombia is one of the highest relative to the median wage, to the average wage in the region. So Colombia has one of the largest minimum wages relative to the average or median wage. Now, when you take a look at informality rates across the country, across the different cities in Colombia, well, not surprisingly, those cities where the average income is higher have the lower informality rate. And I'm talking about differences that are in Bogota, informality rates about 17%. In cities in the coast, which are backward and poor, informality goes to 80%. So we also have to take care that the informality sometimes is just the market response to excessive regulation that doesn't take into account that productivity growth is not high across the whole nation. You mentioned again the problem of having, we call it the democratization of productivity. It's important that Bogota, Medellin, but also the small cities have high productivity growth. So we think that along with the formality agenda, we also have to have an agenda that gets people towards the entrepreneurial mood. So it's not only about firms versus labor and high wages and minimum wages. It's also about setting up the conditions that can unlock the entrepreneurial spirit for every citizen in the Colombian economy. So it's also important to move toward that agenda. It's not only about wages and the firms, it's also about how do we increase productivity growth through entrepreneurial activities.